Hello everybody, good morning. Cheers. There's about this much left in the coffee and it's pretty cold. That's okay. Andrew Brown, early finish. What? Early finish for Starship? It hasn't started yet, has it? Has the Starship thing happened yet? It hasn't happened yet. Oh, I don't know. I get no spoilers, no spoilers. I want to watch it. Oh, there's going to be spoilers, whatever. Hey everyone. Okay. Hope everyone is well. You can't make... Oh, you can make. I forgot you could make that one pink. Well, there you go. I was going to tell you you can't make that pink, Ellen, but there you go. Okay, sorry. Already lost my way this morning. Lots of stuff to talk about today. Yeah, so I'm looking at the car. I had some high hopes for this morning. Not sure we're going to get where I wanted to get, but we'll see. I have an interesting problem to solve, which I'm very close to solving. We'll talk about it in a moment. Just let a few more people come in first.
Hal 9000 says we drink. To Johnny the pink, the sharer of pink LEDs.
Cheers, Johnny. The pink.
Alan Madsen says 4 minutes late.
Who's 4 minutes late? What? Oh yeah, that's okay. 2 hours before. That's why I didn't understand what Andrew said. Early finish. Oh, are we doing an early finish for Starship? Yeah, of course. Well, sure. Yes. Unless we all want to watch it live through my stream. I don't know.
Hybrid Robotics says hello, Cian.
Hey Dale, how you doing? Hey everyone. I'll go through and say hi to folks in a moment. I should just finish the rest of my cold coffee before it becomes ultra cold. Done. Now I'm onto water. That's my coffee for the day. Yeah. Okay. I might have been wasting a lot of time this week on the Tanky 2 when I should have been doing other things. But you know, maker's life. What are you going to do? I just set down a pie.
Hal 9000 says save water, drink beer.
Save water, drink beer. Yeah, I'm not a beer person. Wish I was, but I'm not. Not that I wish I was. I'm just plugging a pie in, a Raspberry Pi in. I'm moving the pie from where it was. It was on my desk. I'm moving it there because I'm going to try something with it.
Hybrid Robotics says Tanky 2 for the win.
Well, Tanky 2, don't know about the win yet. You might notice there's some stuff on the ground. Yeah, I'll show you what that is in a moment. It goes, oh, I lost my camera. Does not like doing that. Wonder what happened to my camera then. It did not like me moving my screen. Anyway, there's stuff on the floor. It's basically a tape measure with markers every meter, and we'll get onto that soon. While I was sick, I drank mead, honey wine, and I think that's why I recovered quick. Yeah, definitely the mead makes you better. No, no, the mead just makes you forget that you're not feeling well. That's all. I think I'm pretty sure that's what it is. The white line of death. No. I did trip on it though yesterday, but it's like 5 meters of tape on the floor and clearly very hard to see that I tripped on it. Anyway, about 5 minutes after I put it there. Okay, let's go through and say hi to folks. I'm going to go backwards. Embedded Hobbyist, hello. Adam, Bryant. I like berry mead wine, like mead. Sorry, berry mead. That's why I said wine then. Probably because of your honey wine. Anyway, I'm going backwards, so I'm going to miss Life in Cycling. No, I won't. I'll go back. Anyway, Johnny, hello. Dale, hi. Okay, I need to go forwards. I can't go backwards. This is just... Antonio, good morning. Peter, hello. Sorry to get you up so early, Peter. AJ, same with you. Sorry to get you up so early. Alan, hi. Scrolling. Mr. England, hello. No magic smoke. No, there shouldn't be any magic smoke. I think I've gone past the magic smoke stage. My controller board's working really well. Andrew, hello. Scrolling. Sean. Good morning, Sean. Joel42, hi. That's everyone. That's I think everyone who's chatted in chat. Not very many people today. That's okay.
Ajardvark says hi Sion, I'm still up from yesterday.
Oh, Michael's here. Really? You haven't gone to sleep yet? I kind of feel like that. I had another bad night's sleep. Every night sleep for me is bad night's sleep. So, whatever. Just how I roll. Okay, so should we just start then? I don't think we're going to get a lot of people today. It's only 29 concurrent viewers at the moment, or maybe 31. So, small crowd. That's cool. I'm going to ignore you all anyway and try to fight some code. Everybody hit the like button. They are. Likes are free, as are subscriptions. I think at this point in time, though, Dale, on my YouTube channel, which is pretty stale in terms of subscriber count and movement, it's not going to make much of a difference these days. I think that ship sailed a long time ago. That's fine. That's okay. I come to terms with it like a lot of things in my life. Smash it. So, Tanky 2. My new motors came in. They actually came in last Wednesday in the late afternoon on my stream, so nowhere near in time for my stream. As you can see, there's one missing in the box. So they were the same ones, thankfully, as what was in there. I'm not going to show under the microscope on this one because there's mess over there. That's the motor that had the bad encoder. So the I don't know why they've done this, but when they soldered the encoder board on to the back of the motor, and so the motor plus or minus goes into the encoder board, they've put glue. Is it glue or it's a conformal coating? I think it's a glue, not a conformal coating, all over the pins that hold it there. And which is why I didn't want to try to pull it all apart. And interestingly, on this particular motor, the connectors on this connector here, the pins that go through the board are actually they're pushing into the plastic on the back of the motor, which is a bit weird. The other ones don't do that, and the board's bent the way it's been soldered on. So I think it wasn't soldered on properly, and one of the Hall effect sensors is smashed. You can't really see. Anyway, which is why the motor was going, but it wasn't counting pulses properly. So I put the new one on, and it's working great. So we've got 4 working motors, which is a really good start. Hey Dutch Taurus, did I say hi to you before? Don't know, must have missed it. The Bulls is here. Yeah, I got this from AliExpress. The problem is these are JGB-520 motors, and the problem is if you search that on AliExpress, you get like 7 different motors that come up, and they've all got different encoders. And oh, I'm so sorry, Dutch Taurus. I'll say hello to you twice then. Hi, Dutch Taurus. So anyway, I've got motors. The encoders are working, and so the end of last stream we had it turning 90 degrees, and then we have it pivoting. Remember, we got all that. JGB 520. Hang on, JGB 520. They are the name of the motors, but when you search that, you get a whole bunch of all other stuff that come up. And a lot of them look similar, and they've all got different encoder counting on the back. And some of the PCBs are white, so you can tell they're different. Some of them are black, and they look the same, but they're not the same. And again, the reason I bought 4 is in case the encoder count was different, I needed 4 motors with the same pulse counting. So the end of last week, we got it rotated using pulse counting, except for the bad motor, the bad encoder, right? Hello, Ian Scott Johnson. I'm having a rest. LCD driver STM32 shouldn't be too hard. There should be plenty of them out there, shouldn't there? Stacks of reference drivers. These are 12 volt motors, although you can run them lower, but they're 12 volts. I don't know how much torque would get at lower voltage though. This whole chassis can do 15 kilograms, right? It depends on how heavy it is. So I'm just going to quickly switch to here. I did put a switch on, yay, for the battery, so I can power it up and turn it off. I've got some automobile gauge wire, 10 amp wire, and this switch apparently is a 10 amp switch, but you know, I don't really trust it. But the point is, I'm not pulling anywhere near that, so it's fine. Like I was running this off this battery and I hadn't even charged it. I charged it last week before the stream. I probably put about 5 hours of it driving around yesterday, on and off, whatever else, and you know, the battery dropped like 0.3 volts. So, so it was I think an EC5. The I can't remember who it was, whether it was Peter Homan or someone else mentioned what it was. I'm just looking back. Yeah, EC-5. That's the name of the connector. So, but I ended up just soldering and bridging wires and putting heat shrink over them. So that worked fine. I just needed a way of turning it on and off while I'm coding and whatever, just to not chew the battery unnecessarily. So that's all good. I started work on, I've got a Raspberry Pi 5 4 gig model here with a V3 camera on it. So my original Tanky had a Pi 4. This is a Pi 5. V3 camera. I've ordered the SSD hat, the Raspberry Pi official one, and with a NVMe SSD, because I'm hammering the SD card at the moment with stuff, and it's just not good for the SD card, and it's pretty slow. So I want more space, and I want to be able to have it run faster. But the point of it is that this will be the brains. I should go back to here. This will be the brains of what's happening here with Vision, but it's not controlling it right now. But there will be the controller board will plug into the Pi just via USB, and they'll be able to talk to each other. But I've also set up MQT. I've got the controller board on the net, on the internet, or on Wi-Fi, and I've got MQTT running on it as well, which is pretty cool. So I can send it messages, although there's not a lot I can send it right now. I'm really not focusing on that, but for instance, I can tell it to flash, and you'll see that the RGB LED just flashed purple, so I can communicate with it. That's what I said. I'm getting that SS, the official Raspberry Pi hat. I want it the one that sits on top, not one on the bottom. And there's a particular case I want to get that's out of stock, a metal case chassis for it all, that allows for the SSD on top. Anyway, whatever. That's all being ordered. I'm waiting for that. But I can also tell it to move. And right now, what move does. So if I just power it up. So right now it's plugged into USB here so I can get serial output, which will be important in a moment to show you what's going on. But I can power it up. It can be on both anyway. So now the motors and stuff is powered as well. And if I tell it to move, and by telling it to move, all I'm doing is using MQTT Explorer, and I'm literally just giving it the command to move, and it runs a specific command. So this is where it gets interesting. So I'm currently, I've broken all of the movement code and the rotation code, and everything that we've done so far, I've destroyed, because I want to change how it moves. So let me explain what is going on. So the first thing I got it to do was, move forward, right? Move forward at a certain speed. And it just moves forever at whatever speed. 0 to 100, right, for forward, and 0 to minus 100 for backwards. And the minus 100 to 100 is 100% speed in either forward or backward, right? Then I did the same thing, having it strafe, if you remember. So you could do side to side. Then I started playing with the rotation stuff. And with the rotation stuff, we were counting pulses. And that's the only real way at the moment for it to be able to rotate a specific amount is by counting pulses on the motors. And it occurred to me that having it move in any direction at a certain speed is less useful, a lot less useful than having it move to a specific location. And having it move to a specific location, you either have it move at whatever speed and find some way of working out where you are and then telling it to stop, or you get it to move a specific distance. And so having it move a specific distance is a much better solution, is much more important than having it move at a particular speed, right? Like a car just that drives and turns and navigates, can move at a particular speed. But for something like this, or for a robot in general, you want it to be able to go to a particular place, right? Or you want it to be able to move forward at a like you want it to be able to plot paths and do stuff, whatever, right? So getting it to move accurately at a specific distance was my aim. And that's easy, right? You do it with pulse counting, no problem. It was a 5-minute thing. All works great, except for one little complication, and we'll call it a one little Xeon location. Complication, Xeon complication, Xeon complicates things. We'll call it a Xeon location. No, I don't know. Can someone come up with a good word? What's a good word, a good name for when Xeon complicates things? It's got to be clearly Xeon and the result, but in a word. We need to make up a word. Anyone? So I complicated it a little bit, which actually made it 1,000,000 times more complicated. What about using an we spoke about that last week. There's nothing to do with tracking movement with a whatever. I'm not interested in tracking movement right now, wagon loads. That's something I can look at doing later on down the road, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about anyway. A Xeonified it, maybe you could use G-code to control it. Yeah, no, again, it's not about how I control it, Peter. See off. C on overkill. Okay, 2 people have said C on overkill. But that it could be C overkill. C overkill it. I C overkilled it. We could just C on the floor. C oh no. C oh no. C on no. Whatever it is, I took a very simple thing and made it very hard to solve. It was so hard to solve that ChatGPT, with 3 brand new fresh attempts, couldn't solve it either. And neither have I been able to, although I've got very, very, very close now. Very close. But you'll understand the problem when I explain what I've done. So, I don't want it to just move at a very specific amount, like move forward 1.2 meters, move forward 5 meters, but I want it to move exactly that amount with acceleration and deceleration. Oh no, all of a sudden, let's take a problem that's this hard to solve and make it wrap around the world hard to solve. And you'd think it's not that hard to solve, but it's extremely hard to solve. It's got just some fundamental roadblocks that prevent it from being easy. So, see too much. I don't know about see too much. Hey Graham, good morning. How you doing? Yeah, however I end up controlling it, Peter, and it won't be by G-code, I don't think. But anyway, however I tell it to move isn't really the thing. I want it to be able to say, I want you to move halfway, decelerate second half. Yeah, AJ, see, it sounds like a really simple problem to solve, right? It's not that, it's, okay, actually implement that, right? That's where it becomes a problem. So, yeah, I've tried a lot of different things, and I've tried using all different types of spline interpolation for calculating the acceleration, deceleration, plotting it out and following that. I've tried state machine. You're in acceleration mode, you're in constant speed mode, you're in deceleration mode. I've tried all sorts of things. The best I've come up with, and you'll... So here's the problem with it. The only way you can get accurate distance, is with pulse counting. And you need to be able to count the pulses. But if you're starting from still, it's not moving. And if it's not moving, there are no pulses. So you can't accelerate from 0. That's the first problem. But the second problem, which compounds that by a billion, is there's a minimum viable motor speed that the motors have to be running at to make the motors move. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Okay, just before everyone tells me how to solve it, you don't know what the problem is yet, right? Well, it's not a bias. It's not a bias. So the problem is, if you can't move the motor, if you can't get it moving first, then you can't count pulses. But if you give it an artificial minimum amount of rotation to start with, right, then seonvoluted. That's it. Johnny got it. I've seonvoluted it. Yep, you nailed it. I've seonvoluted it. Give Johnny a beer. Everyone give Johnny a thumbs up. Well done, Johnny. That's it. I've seonvoluted it. So, if you give it bias, AJ, then you're already, firstly, you've broken the whole I'm accelerating, because you're suddenly going, boom. You're already moving, not from 0, right? So you get a jerk at the start, which doesn't particularly look nice. you get a much shorter acceleration curve, and that's the initial problem. But then the other problem is decelerating. When you're decelerating, you get to a point where the car won't move anymore. You can't go down to 0, because once you get past, so in this case, let's say our minimum amount of speed we can give it is 10% or 10, right? So if 10 is the minimum, then it's going to jerk at 10 at the start and jerk at 10 at the end, right? It's not going to start slowly or whatever. And if you ramp it, if you make it ramp too, okay, then the other problem to compound that is what your maximum speed you're giving it to move at. So the slower you make it go overall in its constant speed mode, right, or its maximum speed, the slower the whole overall thing is. Now, you want a fast acceleration and a fast deceleration, right? I'm not looking for a car to go like this, right? Like if I want it to move forward 2 meters, I want it to move forward 2 meters, but I don't want it to suddenly kick in at 100% or maximum speed going, and then at the end of it, maximum speed go and stop, right? I want it to decelerate and I want it to accelerate, but I want it to do it at a specific ramp at the start, but it won't move unless I give it enough power, so I can't count pulses. But counting pulses is the only way to guarantee the exact distance, right? So how different is ramping from 0 compared to ramping from stalled? What do you mean by stalled? 0 is 0. Motor speed is controlled by PWM, but it won't move under a value of 10. Okay? So anyway, I can make it move exactly 5 meters. I can even make it move, and that's with acceleration and almost deceleration. But it jerks at the end, right? And again, the problem is I can't, and because of momentum, and it's going to be different, depends on how much weight it's got. The more weight that's on it, the higher that minimum speed is going to be to make it move. That's right. So it might be 10 with just a battery on it, but once there's a battery on there, and then there's a power source for the Pi, and there's a Pi, and maybe there's some other stuff on there, right? All of a sudden, extra weight means that my minimum speed might be 13 or 15. Right? So the other problem is when it's decelerating, it's got momentum. So that is also affecting it. And so I can't use the exact deceleration curve I'm using as an acceleration curve. And then if I make it move at maximum 50% speed and then change it to 75, I get different results because of its momentum. So it's much more complicated. Can the speed curve be controlled with PID? No, it's not going to a particular spot. It's ramping up and down, right? So getting it to, PID is fine if I need my motor to get to a certain value and stay there. Hello, Steve. How you doing? That's what PID is good for. PID is not good for, I want you to get to this value, but that value is constantly changing because it never gets there. So, right? And it could be a very short thing to get there, and it could be very long. Like, I want you to move 5 meters. I want you to move 10 centimeters. Right? So Sion needs a shark. What's a shark? Laser shark. So anyway, I tried lots of different ways to do it. I have something that's very close right now, very close. And it's a pretty crazy way of doing it. It's still not right though. So what I'm going to do is before I show you how I'm doing it, well, let's see. I want to see it moving, but what I need to do, I want to show you it moving. But I want to see if I can get the Pi up now. And so I can see if I can get, let's see if I have Tanky outputting. Just hold on, I'm going to switch to Tanky. And there might be something happening, there might not be something happening. Do we have picture? We do. Yay. Okay, what I want to see is, there's going to be a slight delay with the vision. I want to see if I can prop up that camera to look at the floor so you can see it moving. Because I can't do my top-down camera and I can't move my screen to show you. So I'm going to use the Pi, the Tanky 2 camera, to show you what I'm doing, but I need a way of supporting this. So just give me a second. I need to find something to attach to it, or to attach it to, that no, that won't work. Oh, maybe if I this. Okay, maybe this might do. Do I have some blue tack? I need some blue tack. I found blue tack the other day. Oh, bang! Sorry, I found blue tack the other day. And now I don't know where I put it. There's a tiny little blue tack left. Hello, Mr. Blue Tack. Oh, here's a tiny little piece of blue tack. Maybe I can use that. Okay, so just all right, bear with me a second. I'm going to put that. I don't know if this is going to work. We're going to try. I know you're looking at my stomach. I apologise. Can that see the floor? No. But maybe. No, I need something to prop that up with. I'm doing all this. Okay, can that see the floor? No. Okay, hang on. Hold on. Can that see the floor? Almost. We're almost there.
Captain Kirk says YouTube standard is hot glue.
No. Hot glue won't help me here. The issue is not... I've already attached the camera. The issue is angling the camera. That's... Okay, good. Now if I move it forward... Oh, I lost the back bit. Let me unplug this cable. Okay, I lost the camera. 1 second, sorry. I hope no one's getting seasick. I need things to prop it.
Hal 9000 says nope, you need duct tape.
What's this getting caught on? It's getting caught on something. Okay, how's that? Okay, that's pretty good. That's not too bad. I don't know if it'll stay. It might not stay. It might fall off with the blue tack. I don't know. Oh, now I lost it again. Why won't this stay upright? How's that? What else can I put it on so I can land it down? Okay, whoop, I'm going again, hang on. I need it higher. And I need that to be... Oh, this is annoying. Sorry, folks. I think the heat of the PCB is stopping the blue tack from working. Oh, I know what I can do. I think I know what I can do.
HMS says where's cable tie when you need him?
I think I've got an idea. Hang on. I just need to find a... Where's my camera base? Where is my little old tripod? I've got a little tripod. I had a little tripod. Where's the little tripod gone? It might be out the back. Hang on 1 second. Hello, tripod. Where are you? downstairs. Oh, look what I've got. Okay, I've got a solution. I've got the old Tanky 1 mount. Remember I did that little the servo thing. If I attach it to that, assuming that the wire is long enough, I can then even position it. Oh, come on, get in. Come on, blue tack, stay. How is that? Oh, look at that. Okay, I think we've got a winner for now. Hey, Yombo. Anyone else? Hey, Kim S. 4 a.m. What? Hey, Johan. Who else have I missed? Davidessa, hello. Did an unintentional lab tour. Yeah, it's pretty messy in here. There's...
Rick the Almighty says please don't say chicken dinner.
No, I won't. I won't. For those that are interested in why there's debris all over the ground, did I mention last week I got air extraction put into the ceiling? You might be able to see. Oh God, what? Every time I move my screen or my camera, OBS craps out. No, there is a shelf in the way. Okay. I've got whirlybirds put in and filters and stuff in the ceiling. So all the crap came down and I haven't vacuumed yet. I apologise. Bro engineer, hello. Okay. Okay, give us a look at yours, Steve. I want to see, no, it's fine. I know, it seems tidy. Okay, so now with Tanky View, so can everyone hear me in this mode? I hope everyone can hear me in this mode. Can I get it a bit lower? Let me just try it without knocking the camera off. Okay, so if I grab, I'm going to unplug Tanky, I'm going to pick Tanky up and put Tanky at the start line, which you can't see. Everyone saw my ass then, that was great. Okay, so, where's the camera? Okay, Tanky is sitting about where my chair is and facing down. So if I give Tanky a command to move, Tanky should move 5 meters and should stop at the end. You can see at the end of the tape measure. So if I tell it move, I hope this will work. So Tanky accelerated. I need to get the camera lower. Gets to the end and okay. Might have overshot just a little bit because I was playing around with the code this morning. Let me see if I can get the camera lower so you can get the start position. More of the start position. Okay, let's go back. Take Tanky back. Can we see Tanky? Is Tanky in view? No, still not. Maybe now Tanky's got to get lower again. Okay, let's get it lower. Now that I can adjust the camera height, maybe. Except there's a bench in the way. Okay, let's move that closer. Okay, can we see the start now? Almost. Oh, too much. Now we're too close, we can't see the start. Move this out of the way. I just want to be able to see the tip. If you can see the tip of Tanky 2, that'd be great. Oh, can we see the tip there? Or is that my finger? No. I need a wider angle lens. Or maybe if I move the desk back now a bit. Okay, there we go. We can see the tip of Tanky. I know it's not great. If we move it this way a bit. Now we lost the tip. No, we can see the tip of Tanky just there. Can everyone see the tip? I can't zoom out. It's a fixed camera. It's not a DSLR. Acceleration is just a... No. This is PWM. What do you mean acceleration? I'm talking about ramping up the speed and then ramping the speed down. So if I tell it to move again, you can see it ramps up and off it goes. I was going to hit the thing. Boom. Okay, I didn't have it straight. Okay, anyway, the point is, oh my god, was that just my ass? I need to look back. Was that my ass in camera view? Please tell me that was my ass. How funny is that? How funny is that? Ass cam. Yeah, my camera's, okay. So, that is, I'll have to bend down next time. That is gold. That shows pulse counting is going to be a bit off. Right, well, of course, the pulse counting is fine. So here's the thing. Let's go to some code. No, well, the code's not going to explain it. So we're not counting we're counting pulses, obviously, through interrupts, but we're time slicing. So it's only calculating every 100 milliseconds. Right, it's doing 100 millisecond steps. I could make it the more often I'm processing it, technically the more accurate it's going to be. But the more time I'm processing it, the less time I've got for anything else that's happening, right? So there are other things that I want this board to be doing at the same time while it's moving, okay? There's obviously a lot of things that's going to happen on the Pi, but there's a lot of stuff that I want to be having at a lower level that isn't running in Python or whatever with on top of an operating system, blah, 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 right? So, hey, Loki, that's hi? Don't know. So, what I've ended up doing to solve this, and you're all going to have a laugh, I know, but this is the most accurate I've had it so far, is if I go to here, so you can no longer see that. Let's see if I can, let me get the Tanky camera and see if I can get that on here. Okay, and then if I shrink it down and put Tanky up here, maybe. It's going to maybe block some of the code, but that's okay. Right, so we can see Tanky view there. Now, if I just lock that, what I've ended up doing is when I'm processing it, so I need to show you the output. I'll need to pick up Tanky, put him back on the bench in a moment. So what I'm doing to solve this right now is for the first, so I'm tracking the progress of the movement based on, okay. Some of this is just temporary code, whatever. So I tell it to move.
Captain Kirk says ultrasonic distance to control speed.
No. Pulse counting. Pulse counting. This is all about pulse counting. That's the whole point of having encoders on there. Hey, Death Shaker. So I'm not looking for an alternate way of doing it. Pulse counting is the only way I'm interested in doing it, because I need pulse counting for all the things that it wants to be able to do, including rotation and pivoting and everything else, right? And I need to be able to go point to point without being able to, in any direction, without having to point something to detect distance. So it's pulse counting. Let's just cut that off. No more suggestions. So I tell it, don't worry about the ramp rate. That's not being used anymore now. Well, it doesn't. It doesn't. It's only acceleration and deceleration that makes pulse counting difficult, right? When it's moving at a constant speed, it's not a problem. it's working out, if I want to go exactly 2 meters, it's working out how much of that, let's say, okay, so I can tell you right now that it's 330, okay, couple of steps. There are 330 pulses per full rotation of a wheel, of a single wheel, okay? And now that's, all these 4 wheels, even though they've got exactly the same encoders and the same motors, they're not the same. That's something you need, but let's forget about compensation for now. Let's look at an ideal world. Well, I don't know the ramp up and down metrics, right? Anyway, sorry, I should have waited. So let's assume that all 4 motors are exactly the same. 330 pulses for a full rotation, okay? So 1 meter, and it takes pretty close to 4 full rotations to go 1 meter. Okay, it's 0.2503 or something meters per full rotation of a wheel. Okay, so let's just call it 0.25 for now. 4 full rotations goes 1 meter. Okay, so that's 1200 and 1320. Is that right? 660. What's 4 times that? Yeah. Okay, to go 1 meter. Passionate about more people's just random stuff, so it gets more passionate. Well, the random stuff doesn't help because I've already said we're talking about pulse counting now. So giving me an alternate way of tracking movement isn't what I'm looking for. That's all, right? Well, I do need to know the ramp metrics, but not the ramp metrics the way you're thinking, okay? Because you're thinking of stepper motors and ramping stepper motors and whatever. My problem is let's say I'm going 1 meter, okay? 1 meter at 1200 and, oh my God, 330 times 4, I'm just gonna write this down, 1320, okay? Let's say, I've got it there already. 1320 pulses goes 1 meter, yeah? Thanks, Johnny. Love you. The problem is I want to ramp up and I want to ramp down. And I have no idea how much I need to ramp up and ramp down, but I've only got a meter to move. And I have a minimum threshold of a speed value that's going to move the unit, yeah? But that is totally dependent on weight, okay? The heavier it is, the higher that value needs to be. Plus, right, there's also, let's forget about slip. We're talking about ideal world, right? So that's the first problem. I want to go from nothing and I want to get to maximum, and I give it a maximum speed, and I might not even get to maximum speed. If the distance is too short, so if I set my maximum speed to be 50%, over 1 meter, I might only get to a maximum speed of 30. Doesn't matter. As long as I get a smooth movement. I want the acceleration to be as fast as possible and the deceleration as fast as possible, but without making it go bang and stop. You know what I mean? I still want it to be fairly smooth. And so that means I need to calculate those things on the fly, and I need to count pulses while they're moving to do it to make sure my distance is accurate. But I can't get pulses until I'm already at a certain velocity, a certain speed, right? So I don't know where those points are for any particular distance. Obviously, the longer the distance, the less of an issue, because it doesn't matter how long it takes to ramp up and how long it takes to ramp down, yeah? I'm spending most of my time at a constant speed. But on a short distance, I might not ever get to that full maximum constant speed and spending most of its time accelerating and decelerating. But I still need exactly the right number of pulses. Okay, so AJ's saying my Discord image. Where did you put your Discord? Oh, there, right. Okay, right, but this is theory. I don't know what Q is, but this is theory. But hang on. Theory isn't the problem here. I've had lots of theories. Okay, now, one thing I should mention is, you got to remember, or some of you might remember, some not. Although I'm new to robotics, motors, electronics, I've spent decades with animation and game development and smooth motion, acceleration, deceleration, all sorts of type of easing curves and all sorts of stuff, including writing my own from scratch and everything else, right? I understand the problem, no worries. And as I said, this is probably rewrite number 7, but doing things in a theoretical environment than doing them in a practical environment, they don't line up at all, right? There's more things to worry about, like friction on the ground, yeah? Are we moving up an incline or down, right? My current adjusting motor speed with Patron based on pulses counted from a rotary encoder. Well, not quite the same because, well, it would be the same if you're constantly doing this with a rotary encoder, constantly moving it. But if you're setting it to a value, then it's a fixed value. That's a perfect use case for PID, right? Right, okay. But my case is constantly moving. The only time it's not is when it's in a constant speed, and that's the part that isn't the issue, right? So I can't time slice this thing at all and say, these are my ramp, constant, and deceleration, because I don't ever know what my acceleration and deceleration distance and number of pulses are going to be. I don't know, because it totally depends on every single way I'm telling it to move. Like, can you check the link I sent? Where did you send a link? If you send a link to chat, it won't come up. You need to be a moderator to send a link. But you can send one on Discord. So anyway, I have a solution, which is, okay, here it is. Mike's doing that. It's going to want to open in the wrong window. Yep, okay, that's fine. Proportional on measurement. Yeah, I don't want to just use proportional, just using the proportional part of PID isn't really what I'm looking at doing. Yeah, it's not what I'm looking at doing, okay? Because, so let's say I'd solved this. Let's say this is solved, right? The next challenge is, okay, I want you to move 1 meter forward, but I also want you to rotate 30 degrees at the same time. Yeah? Well, all of a sudden, I'm doing 2 sets of encoding tracking, one for rotation, and, sorry, tracking and counting, one for rotation and one for movement, right? And they are both going to be running different acceleration and deceleration values. Go 10 meters, right? But rotate 45 degrees. 2 totally different pulse counting exercises that have to be laid on top of each other at the same time. Okay? This is solely a problem of acceleration and deceleration, not a problem of getting it to move at a specific rate. The issue is pre-calculating what I need to get it to exactly the right point. So you have 4 wheels with different count vectors. It's just a vector math. Add the vectors. Right? If I know exactly how to calculate for my acceleration and deceleration, which is the problem. Okay? It's not the same, it's not vector maths. It's vector maths, but with complications. Okay, so just vector maths? No. Because they're not fixed vectors. They're constantly changing vectors. Anyway, It's okay, Mike. Thank you. It's so. The solution of the brute force simple solution I've come up with that's given me the best results right now, okay, is this. I tell it to move a certain distance. Again, forget the ramp rate. That was legacy of something else. So I say, I want you to move a distance. It calculates the total. I'm doing this off one wheel at the moment, right? All of this assumes that every wheel is identical, just for now, okay? Compensation for the wheels, I've got some other code that does that. Kind of, it's not quite working yet because every time I change this, it breaks that, whatever. I say, I work out how many pulses I need for the entire move. That will give me a fixed thing, right? And then I've got a maximum speed. I reset the position on all of them so they're all the pulse counts are at 0, right? And what I'm doing is I'm using a vector, like a standard vector, here called movement ramp for whatever, and it's a vector of floats. It's an array of floats, but it's dynamic because I don't know how many I need for the move, right? And it does that. So when it's told to move, gives the current is moving, and then in the update, okay, and that's the other thing. I could solve this easily if it was a tight loop, but I can't. I don't want to do it in a tight loop. This has to happen from the Arduino loop, time sliced. Okay? If it was in its own tight loop, where nothing else interfered, would be much easier. But I have a main loop that's running here, if I can get to it, blah, blah, blah. I have a main loop, and every update period, in this case, which is 100 milliseconds, right, it calls update on the controller. So what it does is this, okay, just a safeguard in case no total pulses is 0 or less. It grabs the current count just from the front left for now, okay? I'm assuming all motors are the same. It's tracking a progress float from 0 to 1 based on the current pulse divided by total pulses. Okay, and I'm just constraining it just in case, whatever. Okay, so I can tell from 0 to 1 what my progress is. And at the halfway point, so up until the halfway point of the distance I'm traveling, okay, so 0.5, 0.49, 0.5, whatever, I'm just going from a 0 standstill, I'm incrementing the speed by 5. Just for now, I'm using 5. This will become a percentage of overall max speed. Okay, so the faster, oh my God, cannot type, and it won't be overall, percentage of max speed. So the faster the max speed, the faster the acceleration, okay? I don't want a fixed acceleration where the faster you go, it takes longer to accelerate. But for now, it's 5, whatever. So I'm incrementing the speed up 5, and I'm clamping it at the target speed, which is max speed, target speed, right? And then if the progress is more than 0, and it will be 0 for a while, because until this value here gets to my minimum viable move speed for the motor, and that will vary, yeah, then progress will stay at 0, and there'll be no pulse counting. Okay, so it's got to ramp up until it's high enough to start the car moving. And then what it does is it plots every current speed from that point, pushes it into the vector. And I'm just doing a count for now, just so I can count how many there are, right? So I can see a count in logs, right? So that is what happens for the first half. And at some point in that first half, depending on the distance it's traveling, it's already hit the maximum speed and it's just going at a constant speed. Okay, so that's the acceleration and constant speed. It also, if it doesn't get to constant speed, then technically the whole entire thing is acceleration. But it'll be acceleration with a bit of a drop off, right? Anyway, then what I do is I say, at that halfway point, So long as I've got something in this vector, okay, this variable here, cached, is just so I can, again, I can show in a log. I'm showing in a log if it's cached or if it's accelerating. Okay, that's what that cache value is for. And at the moment, I'm just popping one off, doesn't matter, right? Forget about this. What I'm doing is, after the halfway point, while there are all these cached values, so I've gone from 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, all the way up to 75 is stored in this thing in order, and then it stays at 75. If my max speed is 75, it stays at that until the halfway point. Then what I do is I grab the last value that was added, which would be 75. So I make current speed the last value in that vector, and I pop that value off. Okay, so I'm starting to reduce that vector from the end. So I'm recording forward the acceleration and the constant speed, and then I'm playing it backwards. So I'm playing constant speed, and then I'm using the acceleration values to decelerate back down again. And depending on my time slice and my speed, that gives me almost perfect accuracy. This value here, if I make that a percentage, it'll be better. And the faster I slice it, the more accurate it is. So at 100 milliseconds, by the time I'm at 75% at constant speed, then I'm only getting like every 190 pulses, right? Like when I get to the end and I've got 75 pulses to go, I need it, like, it doesn't have enough to ramp it down because it might end up somewhere between that time slice, right? Now, I don't want to do 4 wheels divided by 4. I don't want to do an average. What I want to do is I've got some code that characterizes the wheels, and I take the slowest wheel. So, like, for instance, I know this is a sideways thing, tangent, but like for this 330 here, right, which is how many pulses, well, it could actually be that wheel 1, let me just do this. So it could be that wheel 1 might be 330, and wheel 2 might be 332. Wheel 3 might be 324.
Cian, chat has disconnected.
Okay, it's back up. And wheel 4 might be, I don't know, 327. Okay? So there could be, that is actually, I mean, I'm not saying those values specifically, right? I'll show that in a second, Darren. But it's gonna be something like that. I already know for a fact that that all their counts aren't perfect, right? So what my characterization code was doing before I broke it was it works them all out. Okay, it spins the wheel, each wheel 4 times, and does an average of 4 spins, what its rotation is, right? And then it picks the slowest one, which in this case will be 324 for wheel 3, and it ramps down the speed. So at 100% speed, which is maximum PWM, it then reinterpolates the max speed so that, for instance, for this one here, it might actually be 98%, might be 100%. At 98% as 100, this will rotate 324 times, 324 pulses. So I work out what the slowest wheel is, and I match all the other wheels to the slowest wheel. I can't match them to the fastest because I can't make it go faster than 100%, right? So I already had code that does that. Once that's done, then everything can calculate off one wheel. But here's the thing. Right now, this is all happening on the main controller, doing it off one wheel. But that's going to disappear. Once I get this reliable, all this code's going to disappear again, and all of this is going to happen on a per wheel basis. So once I know that all the wheels are calibrated, so they will all run at the same number of pulses per distance traveled, same number of pulses per 100% PWM speed, right, and they're in sync, I'm going to have each wheel control itself. Each wheel's going to be told how many pulses you need to be calculating, not doing it all on the controller. Okay, but for now, it's easiest to do it on the controller. I hope that all makes sense, right? So this is all being set in move distance. When I set move distance, I'm clearing the ramp, I'm resetting the progress, I'm also comparing progress to last progress, I'm setting my current speed back to 0, cached and count is being set here. Right now it's on the body, but I'm going to change it to per wheel. Okay, but it's much easier to, like right now, to have to worry about this on a per wheel basis is too hard. Okay, so that's what I'm doing now. I'm playing it forward. So I'm recording going forward, and then I'm playing it back. And it works pretty well. So if I go, like right now, the code is, so if I put it back to 50 instead of 75, so I'm doing this from a command. Where's my commands? Sorry, I'm jumping over. Okay, move. So if I put it back to 50, that's the speed, and this is the distance, right? And if I reflash it, I'm just going to reflash it, and it's flashing via over the air. Hey, Shipu. Wheel turn more than wheels on the inside. No, wagon loads. It depends. These are omnidirectional wheels. So, when I say I want to go, like, you got to remember, I want to go forward and rotate as well, or I want to go from this point to this point. So right now saying go forward 5 meters, that's not my aim. My aim isn't go forward 5 meters. My aim is to go from where you are now, forward 5 meters, and to the left 1 meter. Yeah, I want to be able to move around on a 2D grid, right? And while you're doing that, I want your final orientation to be 45 degrees. Okay? It's not a car. It's not moving front wheel steer. It's not even moving front wheel steer, rear wheel steer. Okay? You got to remember that. It's omnidirectional. I'm not stuck to the laws of physics of a fixed wheel car. Like as in, you know what I mean? On a rotating wheel car. My wheels don't rotate. Hope that makes sense, right? It's omnidirectional. I can solve a translation without ever turning the car. Without ever turning Tanky. So I don't have to worry about the outside wheel on the inside wheel, because that's not how it works. So the command to be processed is more like specifying a new body position and orientation, and then determining the specific wheel movements required to retrieve it. Yes, it is that. But right now, so this could have been solved and fully working and done and dusted and moved on to the next project already without acceleration and deceleration. But I hate the movement of it when it's not accelerating, decelerating. And it's also like it jars. Like the faster I make it move without deceleration, it's like I can make the battery fly off the top of it. Now I know that it will eventually all be screwed down, but with that much momentum going, that's not how I want to stop the vehicle. Also, by doing that, what I'm doing is putting a stack of stall current on the motors and potentially blow the drivers, right? I'm using Platform IO, but Arduino code, but Platform IO, yeah. This is some space stuff. What? What's some space stuff? So, did I flash it? I did flash it. Okay, so if I give it the command to move, so we can still see it. Are we straight? Now, it's not always going to move perfectly straight because I'm not compensating for the difference on the counting, remember? It's just using the front left one and counting pulses, which means I can't guarantee that every wheel is going to be exactly straight. But I tell it to move now. So this is only going at 50% speed. Okay, again, not straight. Okay, if I look where it is, I'm about a quarter of the car ahead of the marker. So I'm this far off exactly 5 meters, which is not too bad, right? No wheel compensation. I don't even know if my front left is the fastest or the slowest, right? So I don't even know if 330 is correct for this particular wheel because I lost my calculations. Okay. Hopefully there was no arse cam that time. Right, the carpet, there's lots of things can affect it. But I just need to get it fairly close. Or even affect, what? On my diagram, you know the length of T by either reaching max or reaching half. Right, I know the length of T for half. I do not know for when I'm going to hit max. I don't know that. I don't. Because my ramp rates aren't equal. Like if I was accelerating by 1%, maybe. Even if I was accelerating by value of 1, but that gives me way too slow. So the slow, okay. Your graph is, I guess, fits better the slower I accelerate and the slower I decelerate. You have a max speed as a constant. Yes, but I might not hit max speed. If I tell it to move 1 meter at 100%, there's no way it's going to get to 100% within a meter. Right? I don't know what it's going to get to, so I don't know. Right? Okay, so what I wanted to do though is, so we just ran that then at 50, right? I want to now change my time slice. Sounds like I need more power. More power. Well, I can't, I don't have, what do you mean more power? They're 12 volt motors and I'm giving them 12 volts. So, and maybe I can tune the current output on the motor controllers, but I'm not sure that's my, sure, possibly, but yeah, I'd rather, that's, well, that's why I'm only using the halfway point. I'm going to change my time slice to be every 10 milliseconds instead of 100. Okay, and see what happens now. I'll go through the data. I'm giving it quite a bit. I'm giving it, the motor driver is being told that it can give it more current than what the motors apparently require. Yeah, I know you want to fire. I don't particularly want to have fire, to be honest. If I go back to just do here, Tanky. So if I tell it to move now. So this is exactly the same, but using 10 millisecond updates. And I didn't face it very well at the start. I'm not sure if I went off screen. So that didn't it didn't decelerate properly. Okay, that didn't decelerate. I'm going to bring it back up here so we can have a look. Okay, I'm going to put it up here. I'm going to plug the serial in, the USB, so we can look at the serial output, okay? Just going to reset it. I'm going to go back to here. No. That one. Turn off Tanky. Let's get it back. Okay, so we can see. Okay. No, it's not a vector overflow. So I'll show you'll be able to see exactly what it is. Let me just kill that and reopen serial. It doesn't like being plugged in that way. Okay, so if I now run it, you'll get serial output here, and we'll be able to look and see what it does. Command move. Assuming I can scroll back far enough. Okay. So, we go to the start. It calculates it needs 6,585 pulses to go the distance. Okay? And it starts accelerating. As you can see, this first section here, it hasn't even started counting yet. Like the pulses have started, yeah. But because of my distance and because of my time slice, it's not even recording yet because of the value is 0. Okay, but that aside, this is from a very quick time slice. Now the problem is you set accelerate, 5, 10, 15, 20, whatever, it gets up to 50, and it sits at 50 for ages, yeah? And then it gets up to, what's the count? 361. So 361 time slices, where each slice is approximately, each slice is 9 pulses when it's doing a constant speed, right? And then it starts going backwards. Now it's starting a bit. I need to change that back to 0.5. I should fix that. It's now going backwards, 50, 50, 50, 50, 50, all the way. Okay, but it only gets down to 15 before it finishes. Now I'm going to do exactly the same thing again. Okay, you see 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. It's still moving, but 1, 1, 1 at 15. It's not decelerating anymore. Okay, and so it's run out of things in there. Okay, now if I tell the time slice to go back to 100, and if I just refresh it and run the same thing again, so the less slices I have, the more accurate it is. Oh, I shouldn't say that. All it needs is a couple of extras in the middle. Don't vector push until pulse count. I'm not pushing until pulse. Right, do it on pulse count, you're saying. Okay, let's try that. Right, so right now I'm doing it on progress. Here. Okay, so we'll try on current pulses. Okay, I hadn't tried that. Current pulses is greater than 0. These are H-bridge. These are using DRV 8874. 8874s, I think. Okay, let's just refresh it again. Okay, I'll do it based on current pulses. So I only thought of this technique last night as I was driving home. I got it. Up until that point, I wasn't using this this vector, right, to store it. I wasn't recording and then playing it back. I thought of this process last night as I was driving home. I did some code changes at home. I didn't have Tanky with me. Made sure it compiled. Got in this morning only about 20 minutes before the stream started, and didn't have time to try it before the stream, right? So a lot of these changes I'm making now were, only implemented last night without checking things based on the resolution of that time counter. No, the progress is it's purely a a float from 0 to 1, current pulses total, but the more time steps, the more time it spends at each progress position, right? If it's got 5,000 pulses to count and I'm doing it every millisecond, it's going to stay at 0, then 1, then 2, you know what I mean, maybe, just crazy thought, I just thought of it now, maybe I could calculate what the time period would be to get so rather than having it go for a million steps or 10 steps or whatever, if I did it, oh yeah, I've got to change that as well, thank you. If I did it based on 1 meter increments and I said, what is my time step I need for 1 meter to be able to check pulse counts every 10, let's say, right? And so my pulse count, my time slicing wasn't fixed. Right now my time slicing is fixed, which makes it really hard if I'm going fast or slow, longer or shorter distance. But if I did it not fixed, if I had a minimum, like I wouldn't go faster than X and wouldn't go slower than Y, but I had that a variable, maybe that will give me a more consistent, I don't know. But let's try this. So I've got to refresh it because of the 0.5 change. As I said, see, I seonvoluted it at a certain speed and could move a certain distance, but without acceleration, deceleration, and then I decided to change it. Now the vector will be empty before the end. Yes, so if it gets to the end and it runs out, it sets the current speed to the minimum motor speed, which in this case is 10. I don't know how I'm going to calculate that dynamically, but anyway, which is 10, so it'll just keep inching along till it gets there, right? And it should never hit this, but we'll see. Yeah, I thought of that one already. Okay, so if I tell it to move, see, bang, it only gets to 35 on the deceleration and it's already there. But the map function isn't gonna, that's just a different way of doing exactly what I'm doing right now. How would the map function is not gonna help me on that case? I don't know what my acceleration and deceleration period needs to be for any given move, so I can't map it. I don't know what values I'm mapping them to. So you see here, it got to 44 at 50, and then it started replaying, right? And by the time it got all the way to the end, right? And like it obviously overshot by 4. You can see here, the pulses, whatever. It only got to 35 on the deceleration. I've got a Blue Sky account. I hardly ever use it. I got one early on. There weren't a lot of people on there. You know, and the politics of X, I still call it Twitter. The politics of that aside, honestly, it's like if you're just on there for social stuff, whatever. But if you're on there for something more than just social, like for me when I'm showcasing stuff and putting tweets out about, you know, streams and stuff, there's no other platform that beats it, unfortunately. Perhaps you'll be caching even though you're below minimum speed. No, the more I cache, sorry, the cache, whatever, the more I do, like I want it to be less. I want it to like at the switchover point. So this is what I'm saying by the acceleration and deceleration are not even. It's not a mirror. So what I was doing was, you know, as soon as so I'm already popping the first one off, right? And again, depending on the time slice and the distance, the amount that it's out changes. Okay, the faster I'm going, the faster I'm going for a fixed distance, the amount it's out changes, and the slower I go, obviously the amount it out changes, and then those two, if I have a fixed speed and change the distance, the amount changes. So this is closer than what I had, but finding that middle point is a problem, and the reason is because if you look here, it's incrementing. So what's that? 3, 5, 5, 7 minus 3, 4, 7, 5. It's every 82 pulses. 82 pulse increments is like, it's a quarter of a rotation of a wheel. Like, they're too much of a gap to be calculating. But the higher I do it, does that make sense? I can't watch any longer, traumatized by choice of bracket style. Hey Trevor, of whose bracket style? Not my bracket style, I hope. I don't have different. So like for argument's sake, if I, instead of doing 10, like let's make it 5. So you saw that, or you might remember that 10 created a stack of them, yeah? But it managed to decelerate down to 15 instead of 35. So let's try it at 5. It's going to be a lot of. It's going to be a lot of logs. Maybe I need to time step it more often. Yeah, I don't know. I being playful, bring up Holy War for no reason. All good. But why brackets? Let's talk tab versus spaces. No, let's not. Okay, so I'm going to log it now. I'm going to tell it to move. This is a 5 millisecond time slice, so twice as many as the 10 was. It's going to be insane. Look, it didn't even, look, it got to 1, it hadn't even slowed down yet. Hadn't started slowing down. Let's go 200. I don't know, I'm just guessing at this point, right? I'm really guessing at this point because there's too many parts to this. Like, I'm happy for someone else to not give me theory, AJ, to give me actual code, right? But as I said, this is like my 7th alternate attempt. I've tried state machine. I've tried, using, look, you can see here, I've got a whole bunch of different, I've got bell curves and sine curves, quadratic, cubic. I've tried all sorts of different spline interpolation, right? I've tried all sorts of things to solve this. And they all have the same result, the same issues, but in a different way. Does that make sense? I missed the code for decel. Isn't it based off the number of steps remaining? No, there is no code for deceleration. So what this code is doing is recording up to the 50% mark from 0 speed to the 50% traveled and then playing it backwards. Which you'd think should work, right? If I've moved half the distance and I accelerated during it, I should then be able to move half the distance to get to the end playing backwards, playing the same results backwards. When you're in XD, store the pulse count value, then that many pulses from the end is when you start popping wagon low, no, that doesn't work. That gives you a linear deceleration the whole time with no acceleration. Seriously, mate, map isn't what I want. It's not what I want. Does it allow you to do motor braking? I don't know, but I don't want to break it. I don't want to do motor braking. Okay, you got to remember, I want to be able to do vehicle position translation for arbitrary values, right? I want to be able to plot it to move around like it was a one-wheel robot. You know what I mean? Like BB-8. I want to be able to say, go from this position to that position, right? And then I want to be able to layer on top. Sorry, with acceleration, deceleration, and then I want to layer on top any particular rotation it's doing. And the rotation could have nothing to do with the orientation or the direction it's traveling. So it could be, I want to go from this position here to this position here, and while you're doing it, I want you to physically rotate the vehicle and track this item in space. So unlike a vehicle that would move straight and have a rotating thing on the front, I want to fully use, like, there's no point using an omnidirectional vehicle unless you're actually utilizing the omnidirectional vehicle. Okay? This vehicle should allow me to look anywhere while moving anywhere, totally independent of each other, right? Just from these four wheels. And every single thing I've looked at online, people doing stuff with omnidirectional vehicles and everything else, all they do with it is make it move. And then if they want to do other things, like with a camera looking at stuff and whatever else, they have extra mechanics to do that. And that doesn't make any sense for me, right? Right, I'm assuming everything on this is well, it doesn't have to be flat, but I'm assuming everything on this doesn't require steps or, proper ramp, whatever, you know what I mean? So, what was that? The drivers allow you to do motor braking. If not, you can't replay the first 50. Why can't I play the first 50? Yeah, I know, I mentioned, sorry, I might have mentioned that before you joined. I've already explained that inertia, like the momentum of the vehicle, comes into play as well. But in this case, that's not my problem. My problem isn't overshooting. Okay, my attempts yesterday were better, but I can get it to stop at the right spot within a centimetre, no problems, every time, right? The issue is I can't get it to stop there at the end of deceleration. It might be halfway through decelerating when it gets there and stops. It might not even have started the deceleration yet. I want it to get there at the end. The end of the deceleration curve is when it stops at the point, right? That was one of my earlier attempts, live in cycling. Doesn't work. It didn't work. Like, as I said, I've tried state machines, spline interpretation, like really ugly, hard to follow code, all sorts of things. And I literally spent like 4 or 5 hours with ChatGPT, and it couldn't come up with a solution either that worked. The vehicle dynamic needs to be based on target positions. You're stopping on the right number of steps, but deceleration needs to happen at a different point to the ramp when setting off. Right, but I don't know when that point is. That's the problem, right? So I've got nothing else to go by. This whole vector thing I'm doing and playing back, I only came up with that last night as I was driving home. I've spent 2 days on this already, leading up to that, trying to find a solution for this, right? By Monday, 10 o'clock in the morning, I had it working perfectly without acceleration and deceleration. From that point onwards, I've been trying to get it working any way possible, accelerating and decelerating, and haven't found a solution that works yet reliably for any speed and any distance. Okay? And if I can't solve it for movement, I can't solve it for anything else. Because you're using a simulating algorithm on a computer will be just as good. I don't agree, because that wasn't my case. That like, as I said, that's why I mentioned earlier, like giving me theory on how it should work isn't helpful, because I've got the theory. As I did this for a living, right? Like, there wasn't a game I ever shipped where anything that moved in a game didn't have fully precise, beautifully smooth movement, acceleration, deceleration, for movement and rotation, right? Angular and quaternion. I've done it all. I've done it for decades, right? That all goes out the window once it's a physical item moving, a real physical item. It doesn't translate, right? Because it's inertia, momentum, right? Using a physics simulation in a game engine with a fixed time step is nowhere near the same as doing a real world moving item, right? Well, I do and I don't. Again, the problem isn't that the deceleration isn't matching the acceleration. It's that it's not decelerating at the right time. I'm going to try what AJ suggested before, which is to work out when it's hit. Okay, but what happens if it doesn't hit target? Or then I'm still recording, so it doesn't matter, right? Okay, so I'm going to try. You can't. No, the game engine, the physics engine is part of the game engine. I can't import that into here. like Unity, for instance, right? Unity has a couple of different physics engines. They're not engines written by me. Like, they're inside the game engine. Like, anyway. Working out an algorithm for omnidirectional would be fun. Who would have thought? Yeah, who would have thought? No, that my experience wasn't these wheels. But right now I'm moving this regardless of these wheels have nothing to do with it. I'm not utilizing the omnidirectional part of these wheels right now for my first thing. Was that a joke? Okay. So the omnidirectional part of the wheels gets taken out of the equation. I'm just doing a straight linear move forward, right? And it's not about, hey, it's accelerating, decelerating perfectly, but it's never hitting the mark. I've got it hitting the mark fine. Hitting the mark is fine, which means the maths is fine. It's working out how to pick how long to accelerate, how long to decelerate. Okay, I'm going to try doing I'm going to try a couple of things. The first thing I'm going to do is, although it's going to be exactly the same right now, I'm going to make float Excel step is going to equal target speed 10% of target speed. Okay, so where I was just adding 5, and if I'm moving it at 50, that's still 5, right? But if I'm going to move it at 75%, maximum speed of 75, then it's going to be, this will be 7.5. I want the acceleration time to be roughly the same, no matter how much speed I'm giving it, which doing a fixed value won't be. So AJ was saying only start adding it. So only start adding it when my pulses are greater than 0 and current speed is less than, and it's less than target speed, right? So it's only going to record up until a point okay, and we want the I need a value here that's int pulse count at reaching target. How's that for a big burial name? I don't care, just for now. Pulse count at reaching target, and we need to reset that. We don't have to reset it, it'll just get done there, but I'm going to tell it to move distance. I'm going to put it here, equals 0. And we're going to say I'll fix the logic later, but so if current speed is greater than, shouldn't be, a greater than or equal target speed and equals 0, then we want that to equal current pulses, okay? So we worked out what pulse, how many pulses it took to get to that speed. Okay. Right, there's something else I need. I need pulse count, and I need int pulse count to start decel. Okay. So I also need to set that will equal total pulses minus current pulses. No, minus this one. Oh, same, whatever. Okay, so now I know where I need to start. Okay, if RAM size is greater than that, and current pulses is greater than or equal to that, we set it to cached, and we're going to start popping them back off again. Okay, so that means, I'll catch you later, Dale. Take care. Happy day or happy night to you. So that means we ramp up, and once we hit target, we stop recording. And then once we hit the other rough end, we then start playback for the decel, which is what this is doing. So it's going to skip that recording in the middle and the playback in the middle, which will obviously be a lot less logs and a much smaller thing. Anyway, shall we see if this works? Oh, oops. What happened then? I want to also log these. Serial, oh my god. Serial.printf, reach target speed at pulses, will decelerate at oops. Okay. So that should print a log. Yeah, not only could ChatGPT not solve it, and it couldn't, but the code was so complex that it kept, every time it tried to, you know, I said the first thing I did with it was make sure it had really intense logging. Everything about it was logged, right? And so every time I'd run it, and then I'd put the log, I'd give this results back and say, and it would identify what was going wrong every time, but its fixes to fix it never worked. But it was also breaking other things while I was trying to fix it. Like its ability to retain and to keep its context on something and modify just what it needs to do, but retain the rest of code. Like, it's a known issue, right? It's nowhere near good enough yet. Like, every time it gave me code back, it not only did it have proposed fixes for the problem, but other things had changed, and I could never trust what code it was giving me. I had to diff the code every time, and it would do random things like change a variable name, or put a random map or constraint in somewhere that has nothing to do with what it's trying to do. Yeah, it's like it loses its train of thought when it's trying to retain a bunch of code. And if it's multiple files of code, like, you know, a motor controller and a motor, like CPP, it's fucked. Like, it just can't do it. Okay, let's try this. Let's see what happens. Publish. Yeah, nah. Yeah, no. Okay. It's like it did the deceleration. Okay, I must have had, oh, I know what it is. No, I know what it is. It's these else cases. So if it's doing that, blah, 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 otherwise, right, this was the problem. Okay, I just need to do this. Else, if is less than current pulses and pulses is greater than current pulses, right? I forgot to do this bit. Current speed equals target speed. I wasn't allowing it to stay at the current speed. Does that make sense? So it slowed down in the middle, and then I don't want it. So I need to do this. Just hold on. Bool block logging equals false. And while it's doing that, I want it to true. And so it's cached. Otherwise, blocked logging, constant. Okay, I'm doing a bool inside a bool. This is just for logging purposes. It's going to log it. So right now it's logging acceleration progress, but it's actually at a constant speed. So now it's going to do accelerating, constant, decelerating, maybe. What didn't I like? Cached. Oh, I put extra. I think I needed that. It's missing a bracket. Where's my... Yeah, missing a bracket. Okay. It's getting close, ChatGPT, but it's still got lots of issues. Context switching is going on about ChatGPT's inability to draw a glass of wine that's full to the top, to break everything else in the image, but can't resolve the original task. Yeah, it's pretty cool what it can do, I got to say, but it's not there yet. Okay, so log. And here we go, publish. Go. So it's accelerating. Why is it still saying? So that didn't work. Why is this? It got reach target at 492, will decelerate it at 6093. And it did start at 6093, somewhere between. But why is it still printing accelerating here? Because of this half. It's going to keep doing that. Right. I only want to do this while pulse counting at reaching target. Pulse counting target is 0. I think that's the problem. Which negates some of this, but that's fine. Okay, whatever. I'll clean up the logic later. VM, instead of using just velocity, pulse count, calculate minimum momentum. I just need to get, yeah, I don't know. Okay, here we go. So it's still not, see that? So I had quite a few steps of that. Right, that actually should have been, oh, there and here, but whatever. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 8, because they're both 0, right? 8. So it's got 8 steps accelerating, and it wants to do 8 steps decelerating, but it's starting too late. So it should be, it's starting too late, and one of the problems is, I know exactly what the problem is. I'll show you. This is the problem. So forgetting about this first line because it's a duplicate. Okay, we've got 1 pulse here, 17, so that's 18, 55, so that's 60, 73. No, was that 18? 73. So these four steps here. 25, 20, 15, 10 is 73 pulses, right? This is starting here at, so 6086, it's starting to decelerate, but it's not. It's at 6186 because of the gap in the pulses, right? Because of the time step. So what it means is that gap there, the amount it's out, it's not starting at 6086 where it's supposed to. That 100 pulses it's skipping because of the gap is more than those 4 steps of pulses counting down. That's the problem. And this is the problem I've had for every single one, that my time step is too big. It's dropping over, it's, you know what I mean? It's skipping too much of the pulse. So let me go back to, we had that, what's that set to, 200. Okay, if I put that to 50, so that's going to be 4 times more steps, which means 1/4 of the gap, that would be a 25 gap then. This should give it more time, but it'll also give it more steps. Yeah.
HMS says SpaceX just started. The countdown is 35 minutes.
Okay, thank you. How long have we been going for? Almost 2 hours. Okay, good. It'll be... I really thought I had this solved, but I don't. But now I think I know exactly what the problem is, although I don't know how to solve it. I'll be honest. Because without doing variable time step, like this is fixed, I'm not sure I'll ever find a value that'll be right based on distance and speed. I don't think. I think it's going to need some time. I feel like this needs to Yeah, I don't know. Let's, so I publish this. No, see that? That was even worse. Because the gap here is what? It's 6523 minus 6481. 6481 is 42, right? So it's a smaller gap, as I said, right? But because there's so many more steps now here, I've still got, that's 1, set 8, 20, like it's still missing those 4 steps, at least those 4 steps. We're getting to 45, 40. We're not getting to 35, you know what I mean? Using interrupt. Interrupt for what? It is using interrupts. The pulse counting is happening via interrupts. I'm not counting them in an update loop. They're completely interrupt driven. But I can't, well, you're saying count, right. You're saying only calculate it when there's a pulse change. Is that what you're saying? Oh, this one was fun. A lot of talk about catching the booster, and not a lot said about the important bit, the top where people live blowing up in the Indian Ocean. Right, but they didn't, they're, you know, like SpaceX normally say, right, or they say publicly, that everything they do is a learning thing, right? Like, they've already made it fly up and come down, the top part. They that last test was really about the booster and whatever else they gleaned from. I mean, the version, like version 6 that they're doing now is a different design completely than version 5. So I don't think they really cared about what happened to version 5 in terms of it blowing up when it landed or when it came into the water, because version 6 had already been finished and is changed a whole lot of stuff. Anyway, there could be a pesky one-off error or multiple, as there often is. Oh, sorry, off by 1 error. No, I think that in this, the issue is going to always be that the pulse count it needed to switch, which is 6485. 6485, it was after this, but the next one was 6523. The gap between where it needs to start and where it actually starts is too big. Right? That's the issue. That difference there, which is 42 steps, 42 pulse counts, okay, that's, you know, almost this one, plus this one, this one, this one, and this one. Almost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Almost 5 steps it misses just from the gap in the pulse count. But I don't want to do it every pulse though. So the caching technique is a no-go. It needs to be dynamic. No, the caching is the caching of it's working. What needs to be dynamic is this. As I said earlier, this is the problem. Using a fixed value here is never going to fit all the other variables, right? Hey Quindor, how you doing? I think what I need to do is at the point, so let's say I'm doing 50. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. Let's say I'm doing 100, okay? What I need to do is my motor update is, so that'll be an int, not a const. And I'm going to set it to 100 just for shits and giggles when it does this, right? So it's going to be 100 to start with every time. And what I need to do is, at the point where it calculates it's reached the target, yeah? So 6485 0.85 is where it needs to know where it is, yeah? I need to then, I've got a target pulse count and I've got my current pulse count, right? I need to then calculate what this needs to be so I land exactly at that pulse count. Or a bit low. Does that make sense? I need to be able to hit this pulse count and, wait, well, it's even more than that. I need to be able to hit this pulse count and a step of this delta, or at least this delta. So it hits each one. Because my problem is I'm not hitting each one of these. Bang, 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 backwards, right? Show something silly. Change will add pulses to be double. Well, I know what it is. Yeah, okay, I know what you're saying. I know what but that's the problem. It's wanting these exact steps. See that? It wants a 1 and a 7 and a 17, a 32, 50, 73. Those values are not known at the start because they're calculated dynamically. So I can't hit those gaps at the end unless I know. Like, does that make sense? Like, even if I can land at that value, I then need to land at that minus that, right? And then minus that and minus that. Oh, hang on. I got an idea. This is a crazy idea. But but I don't want it. The interrupt it's the same. If the interrupt is just a timer, it's the same problem, same thing. And I'm already using interrupts for the pulses, but I don't want to calculate this every pulse. Yeah, I don't agree on that though, Johnny, because Terran hasn't specified what he means by interrupt. Okay, a timer is an interrupt. I can tell you right now, a timer-based interrupt will not give me any different results than this loop, because there's nothing else running in the loop, and this time slice is fine, right? The issue is exactly what I've said it is, that if I don't hit that value exactly, and I'm not at a slice that can then calculate 73, then I'm screwed, right? Right, the other option is I'm storing the wrong thing. I need to store a map. Right, but then what's the interrupt from? I can't calculate this every pulse from a wheel. Firstly, I can't do it every pulse. Look at how many pulses. Like 7,000, I can't track this. I've got 4 wheels. I'm not tracking 30,000 pulses over the whole thing to do this. No, but I've got an idea. So if I don't store it as a vector, okay, there's 2 options. I've got a couple of ideas. Right now I'm just storing the current speed, and that's the problem. I think if I did it as a map instead, a vector, so like a dictionary, and I had speed and this pulse here, then
HMS says check if this pulse plus step crosses the target pulse to slow down.
Right, so what I do is instead of saying am I at this point or greater, I say is my next step going to be at this point or greater? And if if I'm going to pass the threshold on the next loop, not I just did pass it and I'm screwed. I could do that too, right? But I want to know ahead of time. Then I can say, okay, if I am going to pass it, where am I now? What is the difference between where I am now and where I need to be? And what is the plus the first step delta I need? And what's the speed going to be at that? And then when I hit that, like I then, like, you know what I mean? Like I do it from where I am now. So like I'm like my first one, instead of, let's say I'm 42 before where I want to be, but I could be 90 past on the next loop. So I say, well, okay, so at this point, rather than waiting till I trip over, I'll do it now. And if I'm 40 away from where I need to be, then I use these values, these steps, from that point to go backwards. I'm not sure if that makes sense, right? That's right, the absolute. What do I need the? Oh, right, okay. I need to know these values. Yeah, I need to know the 73. I don't know if I need the absolute. I need to know the speed and this value. It'd still be easy if I did it by modifying this dynamically. But what I was going to say was, okay, how's this for a crazy idea? There's going to be a lot of logs. I'm counting the encoder here in an interrupt. Here. The encoder counting is not the issue. It's accurate. Totally accurate. Yeah. I've got an idea. Hold on. This is going to be a shit ton of logs. At the point where I hit the target, and that's the other thing. I might have already overshot by a huge amount here as well, right? So it's doubling, like it's, and both sides I'm out of whack. But let's just say for here, I've hit it. I'm now going to set this to equal 1. I'm going to do it every 1 millisecond. Let's just see what happens. That's going to give me really tight time slices here. And then, once I've hit it, okay, I'm then going to go back here, equals 100, which should be the same time step going back. So I'm going to go from 100, doing the acceleration, 1 millisecond during, 100 down. This is going to be a lot of logs. I don't know. I'm gonna have to block logging. I'm gonna have to, if not blocked logging, because there won't be enough space to store the entire log. By the way, you're not coding properly for interrupt variables. What? What do you mean I'm not coding properly for interrupt variables? Of course I am. What am I not coding properly for interrupt variables? I'm tracking that, which is a volatile int. So what am I not tracking properly? Don't worry about this. This was old rotation code. No, this is not a problem at all. Sorry. Not a problem. It's pulse counting isn't a problem. Okay, here we go. Okay, so it wanted to do it at 6357, and look at that. It got it at 6358, and it managed to do 3 steps, and then it stopped. So it did a complete. I think the calculation was still. Offload the counting to the pulse counter proof rule and set use thresholds. But I don't know what you mean by threshold. You should be grabbing position current once on that copy. Should be grabbing position current once, and based upon that copy. I have no idea what you mean by that. What? The reset. Okay, so I'm reading different things. I know what the reset to 100, remove it. Okay, I'll remove it. I didn't. Okay. Do I have to remove it? Fine. This is going to be an insane amount of logs, though. An insane amount of logs. Oh, wait, I don't unblock it, do I? I don't remember. You should. I don't understand what you should be grabbing position current once and then processing it based upon that. I'm not processing it. What do you mean, how many occurrences? It's set here, and I only ever read it, and it's a volatile value. I don't know what you're talking about. It's being set only in here. That's it. And then I can read that variable whenever I want to. Whatever it's currently at is what the value is. I don't change it anywhere else. What difference does it make how many times I read it? Yeah, I'm doing step 1 just for now. I'm not sure what you're trying to get at here, because my pulse tracking works perfectly. The issue is my acceleration and deceleration. I said to you, Monday morning I had it rotating. I could take and tell it to rotate 720 degrees, and the whole car would spin around twice and end up within like a degree back to where it should be. It could get changed by the interrupt during your main thread code. Right, but I only read it at the very start of that bit of code. And that's it. And then everything else that happens from that is a variable. Like I'm not reading it directly. I store the value into a different variable, and I process that variable the whole way through. It's only ever read at the very start of that function. And it's not being modified anywhere else, and it's not being read anywhere else. But you said I wasn't doing that. Right, once again, there's nothing wrong with my pulse counting code. Anyway, none of this is pulse counting code. Okay, here we go. How long have I got till launch? Got to be getting close. Okay, publish. Okay, well, it got down to 15. I mean, there we go, it went. No, see, here's the problem. Now it's...
HMS says T-14.
Okay, see, that doesn't work, Mr. England, because it's not doing the correct gap now. The gap is at 100 time slice, right? These were at the 100 time slice. This is at the 1, so it decelerates straight away without moving. Look. And it's still at 0.97 and it's already down to minimum. So, yeah, it can't be at 1. And it can't be at 5. It's got to be at the right. So I either need to put it back to 100 or I need to store these initial steps. Even at 1 millisecond, it's doing 2 pulses. Wagon loads, I'm not sure what that code's supposed to be doing, but you're missing the point entirely. It's what's inside accelerate and decelerate that's the problem. Not how do I know when to accelerate, decelerate. Anyway, it's, yeah, no, that's... I'm not sure if you're writing that as a joke or not, but that's totally not what anything to do with what the problem is. The problem is the step, is the... Okay, so I can change it to a map and store these steps. See, if I knew what this was already, if I knew this value already, yeah, then if I knew that here, then what I could be doing is storing the actual position, as you said before, Mr. England, the absolute position and the pulse, and then just do that at the 1 millisecond step, but I can't. It's going into a vector, so it needs to go into a map. And I need to store the speed, and I need to store the either the step or the absolute. I can't store the absolute because I don't know what it is yet. I don't know until I've hit it, right? And in a situation where I don't get up to maximum speed, then it never happens. So yeah, there's that too. I need to... It's not a map issue. Dude, wagon load, you're missing the point. It has nothing to do with a map. It has nothing to do with an if logic. It's nothing to do with that, right? Right, but I don't have the 73 is what I'm, Mr. England. I need to be able to store that, right? Yeah, sure, I could do that, right? Yeah, I know what my absolute is. I know what my step is, correct. I'm saying it'd be nice if I knew what that first position, that 6585 was before I hit it. If I knew that in advance, I could solve all this already, but that was the whole point. I don't know this in advance, right? And I tried calculating this in advance using splines, right, with a fixed acceleration, deceleration, right? But even that wasn't working properly because I still need I need this bit as well as this. And that's why pretty much why none of my things were working, anything I tried, was because at maximum speed, and that's why I was getting better results when it was moving slower. The slower it's moving on that timestamp, right, the smaller the gap is for the pulse counts between them, which means the more accurate I was decelerating steps. The faster I go, the bigger the step count, right? The bigger the gap in the pulse count, the more overshoot or misstep I'm getting, if that makes sense. Exercise thinking about stuff is exaggerate one of the elements and imagine what would happen. Sure? Right, but yes, I could do that. What happens currently in the code, if the distance is too small to reach max speed, then it stops accelerating. Right, so in this code right now, it's bad because it doesn't have the halfway mark anymore, right? I need to I need to rechange the logic. Like I got rid of the halfway mark for this right now just to test with, but this is also silly because it's being used over here and blah, blah, blah. I need to rechange all of this logic. There's a lot of redundancy now because I've been adding to whatever. So what should happen is it'll get to whatever its high speed is and immediately start decelerating. There won't be that constant speed section in the middle. But I removed that. That won't work right now. What if the mass of the vehicle is 26 ton? I don't know. Not my problem. The maximum I can put on this is 15 kilograms anyway, and I won't be. I mean, my plan is there won't be much on this. So I didn't even get to show you. And I can't now because I'm obviously using the Pi to do this. But on the Pi, I've got YOLO running on there. I've got YOLO 11 running on there with object detection. Just using a small object library. But I've got object detection working on the camera. What I wanted to do today, I really thought that it would take me half an hour on my stream this morning to tidy up my new vector approach, right? Stupid me. And then what I wanted to move on to, now that I had pulse counting going, right? I already had pulse counting for rotation going. I wanted to work on, so it can identify a pair of scissors with the object detection. So I wanted to work on screen space, working out where this is and making the car rotate to always face the eyes of the car to the scissors, right? I wanted to be able to keep rotating the scissors, right? And so this is obviously just using pure 2D maths. Screen space stuff is easy. I've done it a gazillion times with game dev. I can do some basic distance just with bounding box size. I don't know, I can't say where it is in space. I can't say I want you to be 1 meter away from the scissors because, I I could give it an arbitrary value that 1 meter is, if the bounding box is 50% of the screen, then that's 1 meter. But that's fake, right? It's not really using depth or anything. But if I did that, then I could say, well, if the scissors is getting smaller, then you need to move towards it. And if the bounding box is getting bigger, you need to move back, right? Yes, if I knew the size of the scissors, it kind of could, except that makes it resolution dependent, right? And right now the bigger the resolution for nice viewing from users.
HMS says T-5.
Okay, thank you. So is it T-5 till launch or till the stream starts? So a view for the stream to watch, till launch, shit, okay. A view for the stream to watch has to be, at least 720p, right? But that gives me 1 frame a second, where if I ran it at 320 by 320, then I get 25 frames a second for detection, you know what I mean? So there's a lot of compromises and stuff to look at, but I think I can do basic tracking and movement with object detection from 2D screen space, 2D to 3D. But I thought I was going to get a start on that today. I've got YOLO going, I've got object detection going, I've got all that stuff happening on the Pi, but I need to redo this. I will, but now it's launch time, folks. So thank you all for watching. I'm sorry to rush everyone off. I want to watch the launch. Thank you all for watching. I really appreciate it. Thanks for your input and your help and thoughts. I really thought I'd nailed this. I'm sorry, I haven't. As you can see, it's a complex problem. Acceleration and deceleration. seonvoluted everything. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, thank you all. Catch you all next week. Enjoy the launch. Let's hope they catch it. If not, oh well. Let's hope there's lots of fire. Where do I see the launch?
HMS says so close.
I don't know. I don't know whether. Does anyone have the link to the launch? There might be on the SpaceX launches channel on my stream. On my Discord, there might be a link. I don't know. Anyway, catch you later, everyone. Hopefully next week we'll have some really cool stuff to show. Bye, everyone.